We are just about to start the session. Let me give 30 seconds more as I see many people are connecting. Bonjour à tous. Nous allons attendre encore moins d'une
Good
minute pour
day,
que tout le monde
everyone.
soit
We are
connecté. Je
going
vois
to
que
wait less than a
tout le monde se
minute.
connecte.
I believe that
Je vais
some
m'exprimer
of
en
us are
français, mais vous
still
avez la possibilité
connecting, so I'm going to speak in
d'entendre
French, but you
une
have the
traduction
possibility to
simultanée.
hear
Donc cliquez
simultaneous
sur le bouton
interpreting. So if you
plus
go at the bottom of the screen, there
derrière
is a little
translation pour les
icon,
traducteurs.
globe-like icon for interpretation, and you choose the language of your choice and remain on this channel for the duration of the meeting, please. Thank you.
Voilà, vous avez aussi une explication de comment euh,
So there you go. You've also got
accéder à cette
some
traduction
instructions in the chat
dans
box
le
on
chat.
how to
Alors nous allons
access
démarrer.
the interpretation. So we're going to start
Je vais m'exprimer en
the
français même
session.
si le
I'm
titre
going to
est
speak in
de
French
la
and
session
explain
est
myself in
en
French, even
anglais.
if the title of the
Euh,
session was in English. So
nous avons aujourd'hui avec nous pour
we are
cette
here today with for
session
this
sur
session with
les
on
leçons
this session on lessons and cautionary tales,
réformes sur les
francophone
certificats
budgeting
d'expertise. Trois
systems in perspective.
intervenants
So we have
que je
three
vais
speakers that
présenter
I'm going
rapidement avant
to
de passer la
introduce very
parole.
quickly before giving them the opportunity
L'objectif
to
est de
speak
pouvoir
to
ouvrir après
us.
la salle à
So the
des questions
objective is
et de venir
to
demander aux
then open
intervenants
up
de
the
réduire
session for
leurs
questions
interventions à
so
15
that
minutes,
the speakers
ce qui est
can
ce qui
answer
va
some
permettre
questions.
à la
So
fois
I think we're going to give each speaker
de
15
réexpliquer
minutes,
les
which
sujets
is
clés
a little bit small, but
et de
short,
pouvoir
but
vous laisser le temps de poser
at least that will
questions.
give us all a chance to really speak up. And if
Pour
there are any
commencer très
questions,
rapidement,
well,
je
then
vais
we can answer them
introduire
immediately.
ODI pour ceux qui ne
So,
le connaîtraient pas.
firstly, I'm going
ODI est
to introduce ODI
un
Global.
institut de
For
recherche
those who do not know,
indépendant
it's a
avec des
research
restrictions
institution that is a independent
focalisé sur
institution that focalizes on
les
and
sujets
focuses on
d'économie globale et de développement et particulièrement sur les
global
sujets
economy subjects
d'inégalité.
and injustice and
Avec
inequality
des
around the world,
publications
and with
qui touchent
publications that
beaucoup de
they
domaines et nous sommes
publish
ici dans le cadre
in
des
different
activités
domains.
du
And here
département
we are
qui couvre les
um,
finances publiques notamment.
speaking to the
ODI a été créé en
Public Finances
1960, c'est
Department, I think
un organisme à
specifically.
but
So
non lucratif
we also have.
qui
It is also a
opère
non-profit
dans 19
organization, I
pays sur
believe,
des
that
missions de
is
recherche ou pour des missions
for
d'assistance
that
technique
is used for different technical
ainsi que de recherche
assistances
et
and
d'environnement.
research purposes, and
Aujourd'hui, on ne va
they are
pas
based in
parler du
London. So I
système
think we're
anglo-saxon, on va
not going
plutôt
to
parler du
speak
système
really about
public
the
de France.
different systems, but we're going to speak on the
En
French
commençant,
based public
je
finance
vais donner la
systems.
parole à
And we're
quelqu'un
going to
qui
start
connaît a
with
priori bien le système
somebody who I
français.
think knows very
Donc je
well or
vais
is very well
lui passer la
acquainted with
parole, mais
the
juste
French
avant vous dire
system.
que nous sommes
And
ici
just
avec
before I did do
deux
that, we are here with
chercheuses
two
d'ODI,
researchers from ODI and
Aura Martinez
Aura
Oriol
Martinez,
et Andrea Sissa qui
Oriol,
représente
and
le département
Andrea Sisa, who represent
que j'évoquais et
the
qui peuvent intervenir
department that I spoke of, and that can
sur
also
le
answer
sujet. Donc
questions, I believe,
je vais commencer par
if
ouvrir
there are any on the subject. So, firstly, I'm going to start
le débat
with a bit of a
quelques
debate, if
mots.
I can, in
Nous avons,
as little words as I can.
nous
So,
avons
we
beaucoup,
have
beaucoup de
we have
changements en cours
many
dans
different
les
changes that are
fonctionnements de
happening,
pays, des
whether it be in
institutions qui ont
France
été
or in
inspirées par la
different
France.
countries where the
C'est
systems have been
très
inspired by
technique
the
daté,
French
mais on
system.
pourrait dire que depuis
We
2001, depuis le
can
vote de la LOLF, en tout cas, il y
we
a
can
des
say
objectifs
since
qui ont
2001,
été
there's
fixés dans
objectives
nombre
that
de
have
pays
been
sur
published and put in place in many other
l'attractabilité, sur
countries
la mise en place, le
on
suivi
the
et le
implementation
pourcentage
of
en gros de la
surveillance
performance.
that takes into account more the performance
Avoir des dépenses qui sont plus
aspects,
alignées
having
avec les besoins
expenditures that are more
réels,
in line with real needs,
peut-être aussi avoir
and
plus
also to have
d'objectivité dans le
maybe
choix de
more
l'allocation
objectivity with regards
des
to
ressources.
the choices with the allocation of its resources
Peut-être aussi
or
utiliser plus
resources in general.
de
So I think
preuves
also to use more proof
sur des éléments plus
or
factuels
proof-based
pour cette
approaches
allocation des ressources.
or
Et une des
factual
questions que je vais
approaches
poser aux
on
trois
their
intervenants, c'est dans quelle mesure vous
activities.
y arrivez,
Uh,
sachant que
Now we've come to this point knowing that there are similarities between the laws, the finance laws, and the laws that have been passed in different countries that are represented today, and within the approach, within the all sorts of aspects. So I'm going to first start with our first speaker, just to give us uh, a little bit more context on the French example, and ask him honestly if it is an example that we should all follow or not, or if there are issues there as well. It is an open debate, so I think Mr. Claude Wendling is senior economist at the International Monetary Fund, the IMF FAD. He dealt with fiscal affairs department, specializing in public finance management. In his role, he provided technical assistance and capacity development in the field of public finance management. So Mr. Wendling has been actively involved in supporting governance and anti-corruption reforms in various countries. For instance, he contributed to the IMF's efforts in Benin and assisting in the implementation of governance and anti-corruption measures there. Additionally, he has participated in missions evaluating public finance investment management, such as the one in the Republic of Congo, and where he highlighted the country's ongoing reform projects, and he has dealt with many long-term expenditures and expenditure frameworks. I think the question that I would like to ask you, Claude, is: are all these changes, did they come in the French context first? Were they implemented in France first, and then in the following countries that you worked in, or and were the objectives, were they met in France, and were these changes or these reforms, were they implemented based on the success that you guys had in France? I think in France, we consider that we think that we there is an opposition between the Ministry of Finance and the other ministries. What is your perspective on that, and what is the level of success that you've had with the objectives that you've put in place, or that you've helped put in place? Thank you so much, Nicholas. I think it's really an honor. And obviously also, what do you think about, with regards to Mark Robinson, what he wrote? I think I will answer that. So now, also the budget, the finance, or the Ministry of Finance and Economics in France. I was the head of, so I was the senior economist, and I had the opportunity to prepare the last or the final law, the economic laws, the present model, organic model from that was changed, that hadn't been changed since 1959 January. So I think the budget or the exercise that we put in place, the subject was, or that we're dealing with today, and that we're hearing a lot about, because we just celebrated in 2021 the reports for the account-to-account reports. I think there's also an adhesion to the organic laws and the public finance way of doing of managing things with regards to public finance in that we put in place in 2021. I think it's so first, to respond to the first question, I think that the laws that were put in place in 1959 were not tangible, I think, or were untouchable, and it was very difficult to really put into place any reforms, and we still have a little bit of a problem since we haven't really found solutions to every single aspect of that those laws, of those frameworks. So first thing I'm going to speak of is the promises that we've made have been kept. And secondly, I will speak about the limits, the points that were not taken into account in the beginning of the reasoning for putting in place reforms and so the promises of the LOLFO, the model, the Francophone model, is we are here. We honestly, our approach was inspired by different international approaches. The report on the scale and the performance on public management, public finance management, I think when we looked at the state of affairs in the 90s, I think we could observe already that there was, for example, in countries like Australia, the United States, also the Netherlands, Sweden, Canada, we observed all of those systems, and we tried to take out what was the best approaches that we could take, or the best lessons that we could learn. So we had that advantage already. There was more liberty with regards to credit, with regards to the allocation of budgets or the budgetary allocations. We went from programs that were less, we reduced the amount of public policies with an objective on performance. I think from there, were those promises kept? I think at the moment there's less control or surveillance at the moment. So we put in place surveillance measures, and maybe I think that we still are in France in a situation that of difficulties or budgetary difficulties that makes it so that we don't have really a foresight. The second promise from La LOLF was to effectively work hand in hand with Parliament, and so that Parliament would really take charge of the reforms with regards to the reasoning and the thought behind that. The Senate would take charge of that, and Didier Migaud at the National Assembly as well, and that I think the idea was to reinforce the power of Parliament, in particular also to make a distinction between the new debate in Parliament would revolve around 4 or 5% of credit, I think it was, and what public policies would be put in place. Now, I think the evolution of the accountability to also increase and to finance the state so that it would be more free to also represent the public in Parliament, and so in practice, here as well the promise that we made also was kept, but not fully. I think we tried to update all the accounts, the movement of credits that were accepted at the level of Parliament, and I think it remained very. We're talking about hundreds of millions of euros that were allocated. So I think we've had very little ways to resolve things that were brought forward by the Parliament, and so that affected us really at the center of our missions. And what I would say, the right to amend these things was severely hindered. Now, the accountability, the accounting or the general accounting as well, is it used? It's abundant. If you compare the budgetary documents today compared to those before 2005, it's really a night and day situation in terms of the degree of information, in terms of and notably the link between the public objectives and credit objectives, and more so, I think the politicians can really drown themselves in the amount of information that is there. So also with the limits of ALOLF, I think, and in their policy areas and so on, the actuality right now, the expenditures that they have, the distinction between, or the difference between the public finance management and I guess the control from Parliament is the issue. So the debates, the parliamentary debates, had envisaged the question, or taken into account the question, but throughout the years, very quickly we realized that the input from multiple domains was necessary to make this kind of system work. So we introduced different laws for reform for public finance management, and to give ourselves at least a larger view for each minister. And the idea was to, in other words, every ministry could had to have a minister. Every public management project had to have a objective, or at least a final goal. I think that in 2010 we reached a more or less stable situation, and in these last few years, I think with the different crises that we had and that we saw, the budget suffered a lot. I think we just adjusted it in December 2023 for the budget that covers 2000, or the program that covers 2023 2027. With the recent developments and the increase on defense spending, I think that will have a big effect. I think we also cannot have this, if we have this organic kind of way of doing things in place, we are no longer in a context at the moment where year by year there is a margin that we can then go from with regards to political projects. We have to realize we are in a system that we have to realize or to put in place economies to really fight against the expenditures that will have an impact on public finance management. And I think with our projections, with the annual budget, are not really encompassing all of the necessities with regards to debt, with regards to essential expenses, like social expenses, and with cohorts and the effects of cohorts, the benefits, and I think the expenses increase every year. And so with regards to the multilateral element, we had afterwards many different series of reviews or expenditure reviews. We called it Public Action 2022, and now we are again reviewing the expenditures, but we never really succeeded to refine or to find again a perfect system, or a system that could provide a a budget that with hand in hand with a strong political presence as well. So from to also to make sure that the economy can be stable with the expenses related to the budget. Now, one third point that I think is important with the limits from Alolf is the uh, the politics and the management. I think in the center of all of this, we put in place the program, those who are who are responsible for the programs, and who are in touch with the public, who have to take into account the needs of the public in order to create their budgets and attain their goals. Now, what we saw is that worked well in certain administrations, but where we had processes that had clear distinctions between what was related to public politics and public finance management. I think fiscally speaking, everybody knows that the public tax general is not the man who makes the choices or who decides on the changes in taxes or raising or lowering taxes. He has the opportunity to manage his administration as best he can, but we we saw that worked pretty well in certain number of different organs of the state, um, which were well defined, like France Travail or France Work, that were in charge of the employment market. And I think when we put program managers in public finance, I think we can then start thinking about we need to really make a good distinction between the efficiency and quality of service and the obviously the efficiency of the Ministry of the Public Ministry, and I think that's where the responsibility falls. The last point that I would like to put in place is also the parliamentary control. I think that they focused less on the budgetary debates. They needed to evaluate the public policies, and we are very far from the end. I think we have now the evaluation that will come in spring at a national level, and we will speak about also the execution of the budget or budgetary execution for the next year or for the year to come. I think so we're still very far. So that's the couple of points that I just wanted to mention quickly. I know that I ran through it very quickly because as you said, I only have 15 minutes. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them if you didn't understand anything. So thank you so much, Claude. These were points that were very difficult to summarize as you've done. I think we will take questions after we've heard from the different panelists. But for one point, I think that really hit me directly was really the expenses that are unforeseen and the relevance of the budget and the different expenses that are listed in the budget. What is the relevance of them? It's a very fundamental point. I think I'm going to now talk to Benin, to Rodrigue Chau, who is the Director General of Budget, MEF in Benin. Rodrigue Chau's career has always been with the Budget Directorate General for the Ministry of Economy and Finance. He first joined the Assistance Office of the Director General for budget, which he remained the head of for 10 years, consolidating the success of numerous internal and cross-cutting reforms. In January 2014, he was appointed as the director of the budget preparation. And I think in 2022, notably, he managed to have quite a few successes with the reforms that he had put in place in Benin. The aspect of dematerializing was, I think, very important. We can ask him questions on that aspect and to what measure that accelerated the success of certain objectives that he had put in place to finally to increase the efficiency of the utilization of the public funds and to make them also more transparent. The transparency, I think, also was a big factor in the interventions, and I think the transparency is not only about publishing your activities, but I think it's looking at the successes and the results, and I think that also about using the right data. So, Mr. Rodrigue, I give you the time to speak. Thank you so much. My name is Rodrigue Chaou, and I'm in charge. I'm the Director General of Budget in Benin. So I took office in 2004 and I was for 10 years in charge, and I joined the office of the assistant or the assistant's office of the Director General of Budget, and I was also appointed director of the budget preparation in 2014, as was mentioned. In 2016, though, I was appointed as Director General for the budget, putting fiscal and organizational reforms, as well as the strengthening of the right to budget information at the heart of my agenda. So as you just with regards to what you've just evoked with the transparency, I think since 2016, as I mentioned, we put in place many institutional reforms and/or organizational reforms. I can speak about two of them. And the first one consisted of opening a poll or a poll to see if the public itself was feeling the effects of our interventions. So this was important for the creation of a network that we could put in place every single year to have also voices heard from the civilians and the public. And I think this space allows us to really have an idea on which direction we need to take with regards to budgetary spending and budgetary public fund management. One other thing that assisted us to really help us with the preparation of the budget was since 2 years we for the program for the programming or for the program of the budget, we also spoke closely with the different departments of government and whether it be the Ministry of Finance or whether it be whatever it might be, how to really we put in place at least a space where we could try or at least experiment with the different ideas that we had to see what to have some foresight on what the impacts would be with a research center to help us with that. Now,
de la
there
programmation de la
was also
perspective
the
et à côté, le directeur en charge
director
de la gestion des ressources financières. Donc,
of
depuis
the
ce moment où nous avons mis en place cette réforme, nous avons désormais un responsable ministériel qui fait
perspectives
la
program,
synthèse
and
de la
we
planification, de la
it helps
programmation
us with
et de la gestion financière au
program,
sein
with
de
the
l'OCCPI. Donc
planning,
voilà, du
with
point de
the
vue
management.
institutionnel,
So that's the
tous
point
les
of view,
efforts que nous avons mis en
institutional
place
or
pour pouvoir
organizational point
répondre
of view,
effectivement à la
that
logique,
we
à la nouvelle logique
of
qui est la logique
the
de
programs that we put in
budgétisation
place,
axée
to
sur la
be able to put
performance.
in place logical
Donc par rapport à
interventions.
l'expérience du
Now,
Bénin en la matière,
with regards
je
to the
pourrais
experience
juste dire que
on the subject,
la
from
gestion
the
des finances publiques dans
experience
notre
of
pays
Benin,
est influencée
I
par
think our
principalement
country is
quatre
not
facteurs.
is not
D'abord, nous avons les
entirely
directives communautaires, les
influenced
directives de l'UEMOA qui
by
sont
the
d'inspiration
French
française. Mon position
idea.
l'a
So
rappelé tout
there's
à
four
l'heure.
factors. We have the
Ensuite, nous avons les
French
recommandations qui sont issues des
framework. We
différentes
have
missions que nous
recommendations
employons dans
from
notre pays, la mission de
different missions
FMI,
that we've
de
created in our
l'Africa,
country.
de l'Ouest ou du Centre,
We put in
les
place
missions PIMA,
um,
CPI, PIMA, climat, les
different
évaluations de la transparence selon les
also
méthodologies
from the
CRIFTI. Donc, toutes les recommandations qui sont
WAEMU,
issues des
and
différentes missions au Bénin
we have all these
font
different
l'objet systématiquement d'une matrice et
suggestions and
ensuite
ideas
d'un
and
plan de
perspectives
réforme que nous
from
intégrons dans
different
notre démarche.
parties now,
En
and that
troisième
has an
point,
influence
nous avons
now,
aussi
and also
transformation
different
numérique
policy
de
areas that
l'administration
we've
publique.
implemented. So now we
Retenu par
have
le gouvernement du Bénin comme
um,
un pilier essentiel de son action. Donc,
we thought
nous
also, how
travaillons
do we
d'arrache-pied sur la digitalisation
essentially, how
des
do we
services, surtout la
have the
numérisation de
most
la gestion des
impact
finances publiques.
with regards to
Enfin, un point
better finance,
important qui
with better
gouverne
public
l'action
finance
financière
management.
en République du
Um,
Bénin, c'est l'incitation
what
permanente au
it's a
développement de
necessity,
l'expertise locale
it's
au sein
a permanent
des
necessity
administrations,
to
au sein des administrations
really
sectorielles, notamment au sein de l'administration centrale des finances.
have
Donc
this
voilà globalement
level of
les 4 points sur
uh,
lesquels nous nous appuyons pour
of
insuffler un
clarity
nouveau
at the
dynamisme
heart of
dans
the
cette
Ministry of
nouvelle
Finance.
approche de
So
gestion axée sur les résultats.
that
Donc
is
si
really
je
what
vais
drives
aborder
our
la
new
question de
approach with regards to
l'administration axée
public fund
sur
management.
sur
Now,
les résultats,
with regards
je
to
me
the
permettrai de ne
results,
pas rentrer
I'm
trop dans
going
les
to not
généralités,
go
mais je
too far
ferai
into
l'effort
generalities,
d'exposer
but
ce que nous
I'm going to
pouvons
try and expose what we
assimiler ou
can
qualifier de
assimilate or
spécificité dans la démarche de l'administration financière du Bénin.
say would be part of
Donc, par rapport aux démarches,
the way forward
la démarche d'adaptation des
with
critères
our
budgétaires dans notre
systems,
pays prend donc appui principalement sur
or the
deux
approach that we
éléments
take.
fondamentaux.
Now, we have
Le premier
fundamental
élément,
elements. Firstly, we
c'est
have
l'analyse des indicateurs
the
et
analysis of
la prévision
indicators
des actions, des activités à inscrire
and
budget
the
pluriannuel
surveillance of
pour rédiger
activities
des orientations
with
stratégiques
obviously strategic
qui sont
orientations
élaborées au niveau
that are
national pour
elaborated at
décliner
a national level
en
uh,
orientation
and
opérationnelle au niveau
in
des
the
ministères. Donc,
operational
à cet effet,
orientations that are
à
done with
l'occasion de
the
la conférence
different
de
ministries.
performance qui
We
est
also
une
have,
étape
with
importante du
the
calendrier
help of a
budgétaire,
conference, we
en tout
have
cas
a
pour les
review of
pays
performances of the
francophones.
different
Les ministères
budget
sectoriels éditent à partir du
allocations,
système impérieux de
and
gestion des finances publiques.
it's an
Chez nous, c'est
integrated
le CPF
public
public.
finance
C'est un
system.
système
The
qui
system
intègre la
is
dorsale budget et
integrates itself
comptabilité
also
publique,
the public
contrairement à l'ancien système que nous avions. L'ancien
accounting,
impérial
the
uniquement sur le volet
old
budget,
system that
du
we had in
trésor public
place,
et de la
and
direction générale du trésor et de la
also
comptabilité publique avait également son application, mais les
the
deux ne se
objectives
parlaient
of the
pas, ce
treasury
qui
itself.
rendait
Now, we
un peu difficile,
in the past
disons,
it made things a little bit
l'édition, la mise en
difficult,
place des statistiques. Donc, nous avons
and
profité de la
to
réforme
also
LOLF
also
comme
to
outil
capture the
pour mettre en
statistics.
place un
So we
système
put
de
in
gestion
a
intégré,
digital system
donc
to
qui intègre le budget
integrate all of
et
these
la comptabilité.
different
Donc,
data points, and
à partir
also accounting. And
de ce
now
système,
with
à l'occasion, bien sûr,
now with the
des
system in
travaux
mind,
budgétaires, nous
we
éditons de ce système deux référentiels à la fin de
we
la
use the
conférence de
system as
performance.
a point
Le
of
premier
reference
référentiel, c'est le cas de
during our
performance qui
conferences,
ressort
which helps
l'exhaustivité
us
de
to
la liste
understand
des
the
objectifs
state of
et
our
des
performance,
indicateurs.
the
Le
objectives, and
second,
the
bien sûr,
indicators.
comme nous le savons tous, c'est le
Secondly, also,
référentiel
as we all know, is
programmatique
the
constitué, bien sûr,
program itself that constitutes all the elements that have to do with the budgetary program. Now, in a way, or in a practical way, what we do at this stage is we study all of this with the different sectoral ministries. We identify different constraints that we can overcome or not. And by not, I mean it would take a long-term approach or a short-term approach. And we look at the stability of the performance based on case studies and the state of the performance. For example, with regards to let's look at climate change. For example, we had help and support from the European Union and other institutions to reformulate or review the indicators and the specific indicators. So this is a way for us to put in place, with the help of the National Institution of Statistics, to put in place some indicators that are generalized and that are put in place to moderate the performance. For example, on what is happening regarding climate and our interventions. Now, the other aspect is the cost of activities. At this level, or at this, with regards to that, we can simply say that with the data from or our financial data, we put references for activities that are validated by the discussions that we have with the different ministries and the relevance of the actions and of those activities, so that we can put in place something that makes sense and something that is relevant with regards to the actions that will be undertaken by the activities we put in place. Now, this helps us also to authorize new jobs, to put in place so that these projects can be more efficient. And so the tool that we use also is a tool that is based on the reference base that we have. For example, the financial evaluation of activities. For example, in this document, maybe not all the data is listed, but in the case of Benin, all the
rattaché auprès du ministère concerné. Donc, à partir
we do have some ways for the attachés of the different ministries to be able to see what is happening in real time in with regards to the activities that we have elected to put in place. Now, with all of this, we already have, we base ourselves on the data and all the prices that are contained, that have been agreed upon with regards to expenditures, and it's on the base of this this program that we base our interventions. Now, as I've mentioned, we base ourselves on two principal elements. So firstly, the first element is for example, would be the approach to the implementation of the activity. When we're talking about the
la DGB n'hésite pas à poser un certain nombre de questions.
The clarity of all these of all of our activities with regards to the public and how they perceive all of this. Now,
Donc, c'est une activité qui se retrouve dans le programme, dans un des programmes du ministère en charge de la décentralisation et qui vise à auditer les états financiers des communes, donc des collectivités territoriales décentralisées. La question que la DGB peut se poser, c'est par exemple, c'est de chercher à savoir chercher à savoir pourquoi auditer les états financiers tous les ans et non tous les 2 ans, par exemple. C'est juste une question. De chercher à savoir, mais quelles sont les recommandations qui reviennent à chaque audit. Donc, quand on prend les rapports d'audit successifs, quelles sont les recommandations que les communes n'arrivent pas à mettre en œuvre? Une autre question, c'est de savoir, par exemple, quel est le degré de prise en charge des recommandations. Pourquoi, par exemple, prévoit-on de déployer un auditeur par commune et non chercher une manière de discriminer le nombre d'auditeurs en fonction des charges de travail dans les communes? Donc, autant de questions, par exemple, qui permettent à la
Many
DGB
questions definitely regarding the efficacy and regarding the approach of the implementation of this audit, whether it is decentralized at territorial level for the collectivities of communities, whether it is twice a year or once a year. So how can we also deal with the cost linked to activities? So with this tool, CRF, we have also our programmatic repository declined by, or categorized, of course, by activities, by cost, for example, and we have the baseline, we have the benchmarking. This is possible, and we also have the data, so it will be now possibility to work, and we are busy working on this tool regarding each activity that is done at level of this program. So concretely speaking, this is how the evaluation of coherence of activities programmed or proposed by sectorial ministries and are evaluated between the Directorate General, the budget, and sectorial ministries, and from our side, how we optimized or how we capitalize on each activity regarding the review that is now available with this tool, the tool CRF, this is the name of it, in Benin, and enable us to have a better forecast of costs and financial cost linked to activities, for example, by order of the Ministry or Minister of Finance. Regarding the difficulty that we have regarding this evaluation of financial cost is that the two system, CRF and SILFI, don't communicate with one another. So this year we want to harmonize these two ecosystems so that we can have an interoperability between the two systems. And as soon as we can connect a CRF that does a forecast in details associated to activities, once we can definitely connect the two systems, Benin will have a winner regarding the management based on outcomes and regarding the procurement plan, and everything will be done automatically, in other words. So this is our ambition this year regarding this fiscal year till 2026. We will definitely work on that so that it becomes a reality. And otherwise, regarding I would say specificity, as we want to regarding I would like to speak about big works, for example, and assessing budget and for major works to systematically elaborate the evaluation reports before it is inscribed or mentioned in the investment portfolio of government, and to put in place per repository, for example, the multi-ministry policy areas. So, for example, all the case studies and the feasibility studies, the controls that are done before an investment project is put into a portfolio. And since 2017, we see that multi-ministry policy areas are becoming more and more. There is an important volume of these, and the government, for example, has contracts approved between 2017 and 2021, and based on historical data and different sectors, the Directorate General of the Budget put in place a repository to see what is the global cost of a project established while we were doing the preliminary studies, for example. So you have a forecast and but now you have a precise idea on the ceiling for the cost linked to these different policy areas, for example. So we definitely see that we have less lacuna than we had before, and so we are definitely winning on that. And otherwise, another element that helped us last year is also different, I would say, different elements of accounting that we have also successfully integrated in the SICOLEV regarding the forecast of material and other supplies. So we also, from the database, we have the stock level of each supply, so we can confront sectorial ministries on their expenditures. So this is how we can optimize cost linked to the implementation of activities. And in conclusion, I can say now that once everything is done, so we will see how to better calibrate our sectorial envelopes or portfolios regarding the global amounts and the global finance. So our approach is very simple. It's a vertical approach with prioritization at three levels. So the allocation, the credit allocation, but for all works or sites, ongoing sites, for example, where we are, for example, sites open since 2 years ago. So, of course, we are busy preparing the Finance Act, but otherwise, also the priority of new sites, for example, a new works eligible for this portfolio, investment portfolio. So definitely in this finance law, we also take in consideration prioritization, and also projects that are not yet finalized. These also get priority. This is a third level regarding investment activities, so that they can definitely envisage the second or the third year from the 3 years project. So this is, globally speaking, the approach and the details of what Benin is doing. So we have a matrix, and regarding investments, a very very strong and solid database that gives us a precise idea on forecasts, but also on the financial structure and the level of implementation of each project. So for any project, we can find a very precise elements on the global cost of the project and on the implementation. For example, if there are some annexes, also it will be updated automatically. And also we have the modalities of implementation of the project. And for each project, we have the finance structure, the finance model, but also the programming until the last year of this project implementation. So, Mr. Nicolas, that's all I can say regarding the Benin report regarding the implementation based on performance. Mr. Shao, I would like to thank you for this fascinating presentation. It's difficult to give a synthesis of everything, but yes, you insisted quite a lot on the fact that you can put in place these reforms. So, of course, the Directorate General of the Budget cannot look like an ivory tower, and you need to be able to cost projects. So you mentioned this vertical approach and programming, and you mentioned also the review of indicators with the line ministries and also the benchmark with this tool CCOREX. So definitely what is happening in Benin as regarding TIC or ITC systems. And I also want to do a parallel with a publication with ODI on the consideration in governmental decisions, namely budget decisions, indicators, and namely in real time, as much as possible, published by David Rosenfeld in September 2022. And the question is not only to have data, but also to transform this in information that will enable decision makers to take the most relevant decisions, the most integrated one, and it's the most important, I believe. And the second thing, you mentioned the framework that influences, you spoke also about the community directives or guidelines inspired by French institutions, but also the recommendation you spoke about the African recommendations and also of each country. And we definitely see these community directives. They are maybe common areas, and it will be and if we see the example of Mali, that also is part of the CEDEAO and YMU. And I believe the objectives or the targets are quite the same regarding responsibility or accountability, decentralizing, and also advancements of project reallocations of credits and so on. So we are going to now give the floor to our third speaker, Mr. Bakary Koné. Bakary Koné, former Malian Minister of Finance in Mali, and he also worked for the IMF and also does research and activities, technical activities in research in Mali, and I would like with ODI and would like to thank you for that. Mr. Koné Bakary, I would like to ask you the following. I believe that the objectives really were set, and we set this. We definitely for Mali regarding the public actors and subsidiary agreements, and not only at annual level, but also multi-annual level regarding this vision in the Malian framework. There is also some specificities on how performance is, what is the definition of performance, and how to measure that, namely because Mali had certain crises that necessitated to take in consideration the constraints on the available cash, and to adapt this vision, multi-annual vision, and linked to performance. There are political and treasury constraints. So can you speak to us about these reforms, please?
Merci beaucoup. Merci
Thank you
beaucoup,
very much,
Nicolas.
Nicolas.
Encore, je remercie les
And
organisateurs
I would like to
de ce
hereby
webinaire
thank the organizers of this
d'avoir fait
webinar
l'appel pour participer à
to
ce webinaire
have
d'aujourd'hui.
invited me to participate to this webinar today.
Ce que je
And
peux faire comme contribution, comme vous l'avez dit,
um, I
ça fait un peu
hope
longtemps que
to
je suis
contribute
un peu
to this webinar. So
pratique dans
I do
ce
not
domaine. Donc,
really
jusqu'à une époque
practice
récente
anymore in
où j'ai
Mali
participé à un projet
public finance,
qui
but
travaillait sur la mise en
I
œuvre du
definitely
budget de
worked
programme
on the implementation of
au Mali. Donc, en tant qu'expert,
budget
donc, et en
programs
tant
in Mali as an expert,
qu'acteur
but also as
d'élaboration de l'exécution du
elaboration
budget.
actor and
Donc, je
execution
n'ai
of the
pas
budget.
été
So
très étroitement
I
impliqué dans cela. Et puis,
wasn't,
c'est
however,
en fait ce que je
really
voulais,
directly involved in that.
les points sur lesquels je
And
voulais insister,
otherwise, what I
insister un
wanted
peu ici,
to
c'est un
highlight
peu
for this
l'évolution
webinar
même des problèmes
is the
rencontrés dans la
evolution
gestion des
of
finances
the
publiques
problems
dans ce
in
pays.
management of
Donc,
public
on l'a
finance
dit,
in my
comme
country.
l'interlocuteur précédent l'a dit,
Having
il
said
y a eu
so, as the
les directives
prior,
du cadre
as the
harmonisé des
speaker
finances
before me
publiques PAHAP.
said,
Donc,
the
il a
directives
fait un peu
needed to be
la transposition,
harmonized,
c'est-à-dire
and
le
the
mouvement
guidance on harmonized
de
framework for public
l'ordonnance
finance had to be done,
69
and
qui
the
était lancée pour le code de la finance
transposition
publique
of
est intimement
this
liée à ce qui se passe la gestion des
ordinance
finances
had to
publiques en
be
France.
done,
C'est l'influence
as
directe de l'État
definitely I would say
depuis
that
l'ordonnance de
the
59
finance,
et jusqu'à la preuve
um,
de
the management of public
2004.
finance of
Donc, il a
France had
inspiré
definitely an
fortement
influence, a
l'esprit
strong
des
influence
philosophes politiques
on
des
the
finances publiques
directives of
qui
public
ont été
finance in
élaborés
Benin
et
that
institués
were
en 1992
elaborated
dans tous les pays
and
combattants.
implemented in
Donc,
the
l'État
country and
et
all
l'institution
countries of
nigérienne
the
sont des
YMU.
référents pour moi.
And
Et
this
c'est
is the
ça que
experience of
nous avons fait partie
Mali.
du budget
This
qu'on
is
appelle
where we
sur les moyens
started
et de
with
passer des objets au
the
budget programme,
budget,
c'est-à-dire
and we
des
moved
projets
from the
basés
small
sur les
budget
résultats,
to
visant
a
des résultats, visant à
program
réaliser des
budget
résultats.
based on
Donc, par rapport à ça,
outcomes.
il y a
And
toujours des
there
problématiques
is
qui sont là.
outcome-based
Donc, peut-être j'imagine
program or
que vous avez
budget,
aussi rencontré
and I would
beaucoup de pays. C'est
we
que
can see the
ce
same
budget,
problems
on
in
avait
many
toujours dit que
countries
pour mettre en
as
place ce budget
to
de
put in
programme,
place
il fallait
this
peut-être renforcer et les fondamentaux de la
budget
gestion des
programs
finances
we
pour
needed,
s'assurer
of
que
course,
on
for
va
the
avoir
program
une
budget, we needed
modernisation
to
on va avoir des résultats
strengthen the
probants en matière de résultats
fundamental elements
de
of
gestion des finances.
management of public
Bon,
finance in
c'est un
order to
problème
do so,
existant,
to
c'est un
later
grand problème qui a
modernize
du temps
this
du temps de leur commencer
approach.
maintenant.
And
Donc, c'est des problèmes qui persistent toujours au
well,
niveau
we see the
des
same
gouvernements du
problems
budget.
as we have
D'abord,
in
des problèmes
also the
d'élaboration et de préparation du budget de l'État.
UE
Ça existe toujours. Donc,
and
le fait
also
que
elaboration of
ils aient des
the
problèmes
preparation of
à
the
maîtrise
state
des
budget.
cadrages
Definitely,
macroéconomiques et
if
budgétaires,
you do
nous
not
avons un impact sur la
master the
crédibilité du
framework,
budget
definitely
et sur
you
la
will not be able
disponibilité
to
des
do
crédits
things
et des
properly.
contrôles
And
d'exécution des programmes et des
you
projets
need also
auxquels nous
to
devons
have a
participer.
mastery of the
Il y a
macroeconomic
des programmes
framework,
au niveau de
that
l'exécution
have a good
budgétaire. Il y a
disponibility of
plusieurs projets importants
credit
à
to
relever. Les
execute the
défis au
programs and
niveau, par
for
exemple,
the
de,
also the
de
budget
l'élaboration et du
implementation.
respect des
And
programmes
you
de fonds,
need
des
to
problèmes au niveau
be
de
able
la
to
gestion des
elaborate
trésoreries
and
pour
to
assurer qu'il y a des
um,
disponibilités de fonds pour prendre en
see
charge
that you have
les dépenses de
sufficient
l'année. Et tout
funds,
ça s'ajoute
and
sur les
also to
résultats
take in
des,
consideration
les résultats
the
des programmes. Et nous
adherence to
demandons ces
engagement
derniers temps
plans.
que vous
And
travaillez sur ces
definitely
différents problèmes
Mali
qui ont encore été faits
um,
sur ces différents problèmes en vue
is
de
still
l'ouverture
working
de ce
on
programme
these
plus
problems, and
efficace,
we
donc qui va
hope
permettre
to have a
aux
program
fonds
budget
de réduire
a more
les
efficient one.
retraits
And
répétitifs.
as you
Donc,
mentioned, there were
c'est un
many
point.
crises
Donc,
in
l'environnement des finances publiques
Mali,
donc,
and
a fait
the
état des
public
contraintes
finance
qualifiées en matière
ecosystem
de maîtrise
had
d'exercice,
many
qualifiées d'exécution
challenges,
des
and
ressources
this
contributive
is
à la préparation du budget.
why
Donc,
we,
au
for
niveau
example,
de ce programme,
regarding the
donc, on est en train de
preparation of the
modifier
budget, and
mettre en
we are
place.
now
Il y a
busy putting in
toujours le problème
place
du cadre de performance. Il y a un
some
problème de cadre
other
de performance qui est
programs,
souvent,
but I mean
qui est souvent
the problems still exist
confondu
regarding
les
the
difficultés au niveau
performance
de la stabilité
framework
et de
problem.
la
It's still
disponibilité,
here,
stabilité
and
des ressources
it is
des
definitely
institutions.
creating
Donc, ce qui fait
difficulties
que
regarding
ce
the
que je demande
stabilities
sur
regarding
l'envergure de
resources.
ce programme,
So it
donc
can definitely also
les
have an impact
acteurs
on
qui
the
vont délivrer le
future of
programme,
the
doivent
reform,
souvent
and the
s'embaucher
actors that
d'autres même
the
qui vont être
the
les résultats
ones that
de la réforme.
need to
Il y
play
a
a
un grand
role
parcours
regarding the
où on
implementation
a
of the
des
reform.
difficultés de stabiliser des ressources,
We
des
still have a
difficultés de
problem
cadre de
of
gestion budgétaire
stabilization of
et la stabilité
resources.
économique posent toujours
Stability
problème.
of
Donc,
credits is still a
et
problem,
des- la gestion des trésoreries
and
pose problème. Il est
also
difficile de
cash
prévoir
management
euh,
is a
la-
problem,
de faire une bonne
and it
gestion,
is
de faire une bonne
difficult
prévision en
to
matière de
have
gestion des trésoreries
to
pour s'assurer
foresee and to
qu'il
have
y
a
ait
good
les ressources
forecast of
pour faire face aux
what
besoins
needs to be
des
done
familles.
regarding the
Il y a
needs
aussi
and
les
to have
problèmes
available
de,
resources when
de,
necessary. Other problems
la
are
gestion des,
the
des- le cadre. Le cadre
management
est toujours là, c'est important. Donc,
management of
et au
the
niveau du Mali,
actual
il y a ce
framework
problème d'exécution budgétaire qui peut se poser
and
au niveau
budget
de
implementation is
l'exercice
definitely a problem in Mali,
administratif.
and also resources
Mais
availability, as I
la
mentioned.
gestion
However,
budgétaire suit son cours.
budget
Le cadre de performance
management
des
is
programmes et
ongoing,
des États,
and
donc il y a eu des travaux là-dessus.
performance
Il y a plusieurs
framework is still
projets
here.
qui ont
There
été
are different there were
financés,
different initiatives or
appuyés
works
par
done,
ODI, en fait,
and
pour
also
mettre en
some
place ce
financed
programme
by
et pour
ODI to put
renforcer
in place
l'équilibre de ce programme
program budget
au
to
niveau de cette
strengthen
administration budgétaire.
implementation
Et là également,
um,
des faiblesses
at
ont
the
été
level of
identifiées
different
sur lesquelles
ministries,
les
and
améliorations
to
doivent se faire.
identify
Et actuellement, au
weaknesses.
Mali, il y a une étude d'ailleurs
And
qui est en cours, une étude
also, there is
pour
a study
évaluer la
presently in
mise en place de
Mali
ce
to
programme depuis qu'on a
review
Le
the
chantier du deuxième
implementation
programme
of
a commencé
programs
au Mali
as budget
en
programming
2017 et
started in
2018.
Mali in
Donc, de 2019
2018.
à 2025,
In
il y a, les
2018 to
autorités congolaises ont commandé
2025,
une étude qui
we will do a
normalement est prête
study.
pour faire
We are
une évaluation
busy
budgétaire
preparing
et
it
faire le point de
to
gestion
have a review
du
of
deuxième
this
programme. Mais
program.
entre-temps, il faut dire que pour le
However,
moment, il y a des
for the
défis
moment,
importants qui se
we
dressent
still
au
have
terrain de
lots of important challenges
l'institutionnalité du pays, selon
and
lequel le pays est confronté. Donc, c'est plus
regarding the
ces programmes
particularity of our countries and the problems we
déficits budgétaires
face.
importants.
And we have a
Alors,
security
l'impact du
deficit,
Covid
which is
sur
quite
la gestion
important,
budgétaire,
that has a
sur
strong
les
impact
programmes
on
budgétaires
the
qui sont
budget
précédents sur lesquels
management. So
il faut
these are many
faire
of
en
the
gros, c'est
difficulties and
pour dire que
challenges. So
jusqu'à
in a
présent,
nutshell,
euh, les
up to
cadres de dépenses
now,
sont bien définis. Il y
the
a toujours la programmation pluriannuelle
expenditures
qui
are
passe
well defined,
dans le cadre
and
des PPD,
we
c'est-à-dire documents de
do
programmation pluriannuelle
have
de dépenses,
the
donc qui sont tous les
PPD
2 ans, 3 ans.
regarding
Donc,
it's the
là-dessus,
programming documents
qui sont
linked to
revus
expenditure.
régulièrement.
So
Donc,
they
il y a
are
des ajustements.
regularly
Il y a
reviewed and
pour cela, il y a
updated.
des cadres de performance qui sont là,
And
des
the
objectifs
performance framework is
avec des
here. We have
indicateurs
the
de performance,
objectives, we have
donc
the
qui sont évalués
performance
dans le cadre des cadres
indicators that
qui
are
sont
reviewed
clairement, qui sont prévus
and
régulièrement.
that are
Donc,
reviewed
les cadres
regularly
de
as well
performance sont mis à jour régulièrement.
and
Les
updated
comptes
regularly.
rendus sont faits à travers
And otherwise,
des rapports annuels
reports
de
are
performance
done at
qui récupèrent
annual
eux, mais
level,
également, il y a des
linked
efforts
to performance,
déployés. Il y a sur l'évaluation même
and the
de ces cadres de performance, l'évaluation
evaluation
de ces performances
is
en fin de
on
programme. Donc,
performance that will be done at the end of the program.
dans ce contexte. Et je crois que
And
ces études qui
I
ont été
believe
faites
that
permettra peut-être
studies,
de
ongoing
trouver
studies,
des,
will
des résultats
hopefully
qui
give
contribueront
us
améliorer le
results
système
that we will use to
Donc, en gros, c'est
enhance
ce que je peux
the
dire en
system.
attendant
That's all I
les
wanted to
rectifications
say. And if
sur
you have
les
any
éventuels
questions on the,
manques
and of
totaux
course, you have
ou
the
bien invectives
issues
sur lesquels
on
le pays
the
va finir
Mali
en matière
reality,
d'exécution budgétaire. Par
but
exemple,
regarding the
l'application
budget preparation, the
gestion
budget
des finances publiques, etc.,
implementation, and
elles ont
the
tous représenté un
plan
défi très important
engagement and the
lors de l'examen
treasury, well, I believe that
auquel est confronté le
we
pays
still
burkinabé.
have
C'est cela
realities and
qui est
challenges that
très
we
difficile.
must
Voilà. Merci.
face on daily basis. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Bakary Koné, pour
Thank you,
cette vision de
Bakary Kone,
comment cette
for
réforme, ces
this
réformes sont mises en place
vision
au
of
Mali.
how these
Là
reforms
encore,
are
beaucoup
put
de
in
sujets à
place in
évoquer, mais
Mali. There
peut-être
are
je vais me
definitely
permettre
more
voilà, d'insister sur
subjects
certains de vos
to
messages.
mention. I would like to insist on some of
Notamment,
your
il y a un point qui m'a semblé très
messages.
important, c'est la
There is a
stabilité des
point
ressources dans une
that
période
is important. You mentioned
où
stability
les
of
ressources sont variables, que
resources
ce
in
soit
a
des
period
ressources
where
internes ou des ressources externes. Il est très
whether it is
difficile
internal
de
or
faire un
external
travail de
resources, it is
programmation parfait,
difficult
puisque la base
to
aussi de
uh,
programmation est quand même
do the
de
programming
travailler sur
and to
une,
do
une certaine visibilité. Et ça
reliable
impose
programming and to
de
have
définir des
a
scénarios en
visibility and
fonction
yeah,
de la réalité
as
des
per
recettes
the
et
scenarios and
dans le cadre d'un
as
certain.
per
Ça, je
the
pense que c'est un
revenue
point
and reality
peut-être
that Mali
spécifique et assez
faces. And this
important au
is
Mali sur lequel
definitely
je voudrais,
an
je voudrais
important
insister.
point that you mentioned and you
L'autre point
highlighted
aussi
for
qui me
Mali.
semblait
Another point
important,
that you
c'est
mentioned, which is important,
vous parliez
it's
des DPPD, PAP et de la
you
vision à
mentioned
3 ans.
the PPD,
Sur
PAP,
quel
and this
horizon on travaille?
3 years
Et effectivement, ce
vision
qu'on voit, c'est que
and the horizon on which
certains cas,
that you must take in consideration
les
for this
horizons
work.
temporels ne sont
And
pas adaptés en
the
fonction de la réalité des
temporal
projets
horizons are not adapted to the
concrètement.
reality
Ça a été évoqué
and
aussi
to the project.
par
And it
les
was also
intervenants, les
mentioned
autres intervenants.
by other
Euh,
speakers.
alors,
And
nous avons plusieurs questions qui ont déjà été
we
posées
have
sur le
a
chat, donc je vais me permettre de les
few
transférer
questions
aux
in
intervenants.
the chat.
Euh, Et peut-être, Bakary, si tu veux bien
And so maybe
commencer
Bakary, we're
sur le
going
Mali.
to start with Mali.
Concernant une question qui peut être en lien avec ce
Concerning
qu'on
a
vient de
question
dire,
that
c'est on met
is
en
linked to what we
place
just spoke
un
about, as
cadre
we put in place a
de
framework
dialogue
that of dialogue that
entre la direction du budget, entre le
is
ministère des
between
Finances
the
et les différentes
Ministry of
administrations
Finances
sectorielles,
and
mais
the different
il faut aussi, je
sectoral
le rappelle à nos
ministries, but
intervenants, une plateforme
we also
multisectorielle pour pouvoir
talk about a
prendre en compte
multi-sectoral
tout ce qui
platform
impacte
that
plusieurs
can take
ministères,
into
plusieurs
account all
secteurs à
the
la fois. Donc
impacts
comment est-ce qu'on peut
that have an
renforcer
impact
ce
on all the
dialogue dans la
sectoral
partie
the
dialogue
sectors?
budgétaire
How can we
plutôt
reinforce this at a budgetary level,
multisectoriel? Comment est-ce qu'on peut
a
s'assurer qu'il y ait
multi-sectoral?
ce dialogue
How
pas
can we
seulement vertical, mais
ensure that this dialogue has an
qu'il soit
influence, but also
horizontal,
is
intégrant les
more
différents ministères et les différentes
integrates all the different
directions
ministries
publiques
and the different public actions
dans la phase de
within
dialogue.
the
Bakary?
different phases of the
Euh,
budgetary actions.
ok.
Bakary?
Donc, en fait,
Yeah,
ce
so
dialogue ou cette
in fact,
discussion
this dialogue or this discussion that we
multisectorielle
that is
se
multi-sectoral
déroule la
um,
plupart du temps dans le
happens most
cadre
of the
majeur
time
de
uh,
déroulement de la préparation budgétaire.
when it
Le
comes to the
programme de
phase of
préparation
the budgetary
budgétaire,
preparation
donc,
now, or the budget preparation now.
il commence d'ailleurs par
It
une conférence de
starts
lancement
with a
de la préparation
conference
budgétaire
um,
où tous les
for
ministères
the
sectoriels
launch
sont
of the
présents
budget preparation, where all
pour
the
faire le point
different
de
ministries
l'exécution
are
du budget
present, so we can
passé
really
et aussi préparer,
precisely talk about
évoquer
the
les
different
difficultés qui se
parts
posent
of the
par
budget
rapport
and
à la préparation
talk about
du
all
budget
the
de l'année
issues
à venir
that
et
arise
aussi faire le
or
point
that had risen
sur
from
d'autres des
the
difficultés
issues
qui peuvent
related to
surgir encore
the
parce que
previous year's budget.
normalement
Now,
la
normally
conférence,
the conference
ce truc de dialogue
um,
qui est initié d'ailleurs
is more
par
of a
le ministère
dialogue
des Finances à travers
that
la direction
is
du budget,
initiated by
donc
the Ministry of Finance with the
chaque
other
année,
uh,
qui était généralement au mois de
directorates.
mars, avril, donc pour la conférence de lancement de la préparation du budget, avec des thèmes
So
souvent
it's
très
all the different
importants,
sectoral
donc
management
c'est
managers.
utile
Now,
pour
um,
discuter entre
these
les ministères sectoriels.
discussions help us
Donc,
to
dans ce
really
cadre qui est là,
know what we're
et
aiming for
les cadres
and what objectives we're aiming
tout le
at.
moment de connaissance
The
pendant
framework
au cours de l'exécution du budget. Et surtout,
then is
la
applied
préparation du
throughout
budget
the
et
different
de
phases of the
l'exécution permet
budget
de
execution.
prendre
So
en compte des
this
besoins
allows us
des
to
ministères
take into
sectoriels,
account
des
the
problèmes qu'ils ont
different
rencontrés de part
issues,
et d'autre, et de
sectoral
voir
issues,
comment le lien
to see how we
entre le
can
panier de la préparation du budget pour améliorer
go
le
forward with the
processus
preparation
de prendre
of
en
the
compte
budget, the different
effectivement
processes
tous les
to take
problèmes
in
non
account
prévus qui se
the
posent
different
ici et là
problems
pour donner de
that
nouvelles bases
arise
de
and
dépenses.
to
Donc,
make
nous,
the execution more
et la-
efficient.
les,
So at
les problèmes peuvent se posent souvent
so
au
the
niveau du
problems that
dossier
can arise
d'investissement
are
parce qu'il y
spoken
a
of
également
during
le
these
problème que
conversations
la-
because
les,
we have to
les techniques
also admit
qui
that
ont
the
été, qui
technical
sont prévues et qui sont
aspects
mises en
and
œuvre,
the techniques
même
that
si la
are
mise en
that
œuvre
are
peut être
that
améliorée
we
efficace.
see or
Donc,
that we
c'est notamment
think of putting in place have to be aligned so that
ça
we
échappé, c'est-à-dire
do not exacerbate
l'orientation
any
d'engagement
issues
et
that
les plans
already exist.
d'investissement qui devraient
Um,
permettre une
we
meilleure budgétisation des dépenses
and this allows
d'investissement
us to
ne
have a
sont pas
better
souvent
budgetization,
appliquées comme il faut. Donc,
but
donc, il y a
oftentimes
des problèmes
the issue is
d'amélioration
that they're
qui
not
se
applied
développent
as
et pour
or the
lesquels on peut
interventions that we
parvenir
agree on are
avec
not
les
executed
budgets
as they
prévus
should
à
be
faire. Ce qui
uh,
fait que les budgets d'investissement
or as
ne
they
sont
have
toujours à
been
plus
described.
adaptés au niveau
And so
de leur
we need
prévisibilité
to
et
address
de
the
leur
issues
degré de
at
maîtrise
the level of that
financière
dialogue.
comme un
We,
instrument important de gestion des investissements.
but I think it
Donc,
is an important
le cadre
instrument or tool
multisectoriel
or
suppose
activity
encore une fois,
with
comme on
regards
dit,
to the
la
preparation now.
préparation au moment de la préparation du budget, mais n'est pas réellement
So that is
la
where the issue
priorité.
lies.
Donc, il
Is
faut
this is
que au niveau de la direction du
a
budget,
good activity that we have,
chaque
but
ministère, à ce
unfortunately,
qu'on
it's
appelle
the
les correspondants
sometimes
ministériels
the
au niveau
the actions
du
or
ministère sectoriel,
suggestions that we've agreed upon
travaillent
do not get executed or done properly, and the ideas are not really properly conveyed to the different departments of these different that these sexual management representatives are in charge of.
Merci
So it
beaucoup,
becomes more of a
Bakary,
broken
pour
telephone.
cette
Thank you so much,
remarque.
Bakary,
Il y a,
for
il y a- il y
this
a un, il y a un sujet aussi de mise
this
en
clarity. So I
cohérence
think
du
it's
cadre de
yeah,
suivi
there's
des
an issue
performances
of
de cette
coherence of the framework and
Euh,
communication down the line and
je
execution. I
voudrais
think
me tourner vers
so
Claude
now I'd like to
Wendling pour
speak to Claude
poser une
Wendling
question qui a été
him
posée par
a question that was asked
le
in the
participant.
by the participants,
Comment est-ce que
which
l'on
is
peut
how do
s'assurer que
we
le cadre
ensure
justement
that
des
the
indicateurs qui ont été fixés dans
framework
les
and the
rapports
indicators that have been put in place,
euh,
how do we ensure that
rigides en début d'année, puisque c'est
and that
bien
are
évidemment
quite
parfois cette
rigid
période
in
que
the
l'on
beginning of the
définit,
year
définir
because
des
we have
indicateurs,
to
peut
clearly
prendre en
define the
compte
indicators.
voilà,
How
la
can we
réalité
make sure that
des
they
allocations
take
et
into
aussi des
account the
crises? Parce qu'il y
reality
a une
of
des
the
questions
allocations
voilà, que
and
se posent que se posaient
and
les participants,
that's
c'est
one of the
comment est-ce
questions
que
that
finalement on
the
peut
participants ask is how finally how do we
faire
um,
tenir ce cadre
make sure that the framework holds
d'évaluation budgétaire
or
avec les
budget
indicateurs qui ont
evaluation
été
framework
définis pendant la crise. Alors, je ne sais pas
works.
si la France peut être définie comme un
And I don't
pays
know
où la
if
crise budgétairement
France
n'est
can
n'est
be
plus
classified as a country that
évidente
has a
dans
budgetary
l'interprétation,
crisis,
mais en tout
but
cas, on
well,
a
that's up to your interpretation.
toutes les
But
directions
I
du
think
budget. Enfin,
all
c'est la base
uh,
du métier
the
du
budget
FED. Comment
management
est-ce que le
teams
cadre peut
have
voilà, peut
issues,
être
obviously. But how can
adapté
the
sans
framework
pour
can be
autant
adapt? How
s'éloigner
can the
trop,
framework be
comme le
adapted
rappelle un
uh,
des participants, de ce qui
without
a été voté?
being too
Alors,
stressed?
quelques éléments de
So
réponse.
uh, a
Alors,
few
point
elements.
numéro un,
Firstly, I
lorsqu'on
think
se trouve vraiment
we find
confronté à
ourselves
une
really
crise majeure,
with
style
a major crisis
le
that is,
Covid, par
for
exemple,
example,
ou,
the COVID crisis, or
prendre un exemple que
I'll
j'ai
take
bien
another
connu,
example that I knew
l'assurance
well,
de 2008.
the 2009
On
crisis.
se retrouve dans
We
une
find ourselves
position
in a
où on est
position where
obligé
we are
de
obligated
modifier
to
substantiellement l'économie du budget, et
modify
ça peut
the
passer par la création de
economy
nouveaux
of the budget,
programmes
and that can be done with
qui ont
the creation of
leur
new
propre
programs
dispositif de
that have their own
performance.
dispositions and their own
Donc, lorsque, par exemple,
performance identifiers
on
now
a
or
fait
indicators now.
en
We
2009
have
une série de lois de
um,
finances
put in place
rectificatives
a
pour
series of
répondre à la
different
crise
uh,
des subprimes et à l'impact qu'elle avait eu sur l'économie française et
different
européenne.
different
Lorsqu'on a fait
I
en
guess
2020,
ways or finance
2021
avenues vehicles
une série
to
de
address
politiques
the
budgétaires
financial
pour
issues.
répondre à la crise du
There
Covid,
was
on a
also
créé d'autres
different
programmes bleus
allocations in
dans
the
les cas
budget for that
alimentaires
were
avec
to alleviate the pressures of
certains crédits budgétaires,
you know
et on a créé un
that were
dispositif
felt
de
by the crisis,
performance
and we have also
adapté à ces nouveaux
uh,
programmes et aux actions
adapted
qui étaient
different
envisagées. Deuxième élément de réponse, lorsque, de manière
devices
plus
that
ponctuelle, en
can
cours de
measure
gestion,
the
en cours de
success of our
gestion budgétaire,
interventions. Now,
on est amené
we
à
have
modifier,
been brought to
à modifier les
modify or
crédits,
forced
par
to modify the
exemple
credits, for
des
example,
virements.
through
Alors, 2.1, le Parlement est évidemment
through
tenu au
transfers, bank
courant
transfers. I
de
think
tous
that
les
the
mouvements de
Parlement
crédit
was
qui interviennent en
kept in
gestion.
the
Donc,
loop with
ils ont
regards to all the credit
cette visibilité
movements
sur le fait
and
que
payments that so
certains
they had the
crédits sont
visibility
transférés d'un autre
on all
programme
these different
livré d'un
the
programme
movement of all
donné
these credits
à un
uh,
autre programme
packages, and
que du
whether it
budget.
be
Et deuxième point,
diverted to one program
l'impact
or another, and the
sur les
impact
indicateurs de
on
performance qui n'est
the
pas, je
performance
dirais,
indicators, I think, is
visualisé
not
en temps réel.
visualized
Typiquement,
in
ça
real
fait
time,
partie
but
du dialogue
typically
qui peut se
it
jouer
forms part
au
of the
moment du
dialogue
rapport annuel de
that
performance
can be had
qui présente
during the annual performance
les sommes
review, which
effectivement
presents
dépensées,
the
les crédits
sums that have been
effectivement
effectively
dépensés, et
spent,
sur la base des
the
crédits qui étaient
and different
disponibles,
aspects based on
effectivement
the
disponibles
credit
pour le responsable de
available
programme,
for
et
the
qui présente
program
aussi les résultats
managers,
atteints,
and
donc au travers
uh,
des
also it
objectifs
presents
et
the
indicateurs, et qui
results that
permet de
were
comparer ça aux
attained,
cibles fixées. Et
and
donc
the
évidemment,
indicators we can
si on a eu
then compare that with. Now, if we
des
had
mouvements budgétaires significatifs en cours
budget
d'exercice,
movements
peut être un élément
that were significant, it could be used
apporté,
as
par exemple,
a
sur les performances du programme. Voilà.
explanation with regards to the performance of the program. So that's how it
Merci
kind of
Claude.
works
Et
there.
je pense que pour revenir sur ce
Merci. Thank
qui
you so
était
much,
un des
Claude.
sujets clés
And I think to come back
de
to
ce
what
webinaire,
was a
ça
key
pose aussi la question
subject
de
of
savoir comment
this
on définit une
webinar
crise
is
et
how do
dans
we
quelle
define a
mesure, en
crisis,
fonction
and
de
into
la
what
gravité de la
measure
crise,
um,
on peut adapter le
we
budget
can
à ce qui est
adapt the
évidemment
budget based
Voilà.
on the
Par rapport
gravity
à
of
ce
the
point, je ne
crisis.
sais pas si je
So
peux.
Oui,
I
oui,
don't
bien
know
sûr,
if
bien
I
sûr.
can add something just on this point.
Par rapport à ce point,
With regards to this
là
point,
également,
um,
compte tenu de l'importance et de la
I
fréquence
think
des
it's
changements
important
budgétaires qui peuvent intervenir, il faudra que
to
dans tous
understand
les cas,
to what extent
les gens
we can
ne
intervene.
vont pas trop,
People,
parce que les collectifs
I think
budgétaires,
the
donc
budgetary
les
collective,
budgets rectificatifs, souvent interviennent vers la fin de l'année.
I think
Donc,
they intervene towards the
difficile de
end of the year.
parler
So
d'adapter
we
les cadres
can
de performance en cours
we can
d'année.
maybe talk about
Généralement, on laisse faire
adapting the
à des
performance
équipes
frameworks
dédiées avec tous les changements et avec
with
tous
all
les
the
mouvements de gouvernance
changes.
qui s'opèrent. Et je crois que c'est au cours de,
And I think that
à
this is
l'occasion
an
d'un
occasion
rapport annuel de performance
to
que
to
tous ces
to
mouvements sont
to
pris en
maybe have an
compte
influence
et
on
avec
the
l'impact
annual performance
sur les
review
objectifs et sur les
or
indicateurs de
report,
performance soit
and
alors documenté et expliqué
so that we can
disponible.
have
Et que tout ça
we
intervienne
can
exclusivement
document
et
all
qu'il n'y a
of
pas de
um,
rapport en cours d'année qui montre
the
effectivement
flaws
le niveau,
and the
le
successes.
niveau
I think
de gravité
we
de la
don't
gestion
have
de cadre de
um,
performance en
a
Tout
platform
à fait. Et c'est
to adjust all of these
jusqu'à un
things.
certain niveau de
Uh,
gravité. Et
for example,
l'exemple qui
in
était
the middle
donné
of the
par
year
l'intervenant précédent,
instead
c'était
of at the
le
end of
cas
the
du
year.
Covid. Il y a eu pas mal
Yeah,
de
I
publications
agree.
sur
I think
comment
during COVID, there was a lot
le
of
cadre de finances
publications
publiques a
on
pris en compte le
how
Covid.
the
Et là, on voit qu'il y a toujours
public
un certain
frameworks
niveau de
had
gravité où on est bien
taken
obligé
into
de
account
remettre en
COVID
cause le cadre.
and
Tout dépend de la gravité de la crise.
had to respond quite
Effectivement, parce que la
quickly
plupart du temps,
instead of waiting for the end of the year.
on va être
And so
sur une mise à jour
maybe that could be
alors que
something
l'exécution est largement
interesting
démarrée.
to update
Deux questions ont été posées à Monsieur Rodrigue Chaou.
periodically
L'une par Mark Robinson, et si
the
c'est bien le même
approaches.
Mark Robinson, c'est
So
celui que nous citions en début
I think we've been
de
speaking about
webinaire
Mark Robinson
pour
since the start of the webinar for
son rapport sur la
his
situation
report
budgétaire
on
en France
the
et le premier rapport
budgetary situation
de la
in
Cour des comptes.
France and
Monsieur Robinson voulait demander de Monsieur Chaou si
the state of accounts.
la prise en
I
compte
think
en gros de la déconnexion entre la planification de long terme
is there a
et la
disconnection
situation dynamique
between
a bien été prise en compte avec des nouveaux postes de directeurs chargés de
the budget
synthétiser
and the
les
new
perspectives. Et si oui, est-ce que vous
directors that have
pourriez décrire
that have
comment
been
ça
put
a
in place
marché? Et une autre question que nous
um,
est posée
the
Monsieur Chaou
and are they
concernant
aware
le
of the
fait
systems
que,
that they've
comme vous l'avez dit,
that they have inherited,
certes une influence
and are
du
they connected to the
cadre
local context? I
des
think
directives du cadre harmonisé de 2009 de l'UMOA, mais
I
aussi
think with regards to the framework
d'autres
of
influences,
2009 with uh, and other
missions notamment qui
influences
vous ont donné des
and
modèles
other
sur lesquels vous pouviez vous appuyer. Et le participant
with
vous
the
demande si vous pourriez
WAMU
être un peu plus précis
and
sur quels sont les autres
can you
modèles
basically
qui
can
vous ont
you
influencé et
tell us
comment
what are
vous
the
avez
different models that
évalué
influenced you with regards and
dans
how
les
you
recommandations
evaluated
externes qui vous
the
ont été faites,
different
quels étaient
external
les critères
recommendations that were given to you
Monsieur Chaou.
and how they impacted the Malian
Merci.
situation.
Donc,
Mr. Shao?
par rapport à
Yes,
la
so with regards
publication,
to the publication,
à savoir comment la
um,
DGB a pu prendre le relais sur
it's
la gestion
we
de la
ask ourselves
programmation
how
des investissements.
the new
Simplement pour dire que déjà au niveau institutionnel, les
those
attributions de la
who were
DGB ont
responsible
évolué, comme je l'ai rappelé
took
tantôt.
into account
Donc, en
the
dehors, bien sûr,
publications. Now,
de la proposition de la stratégie budgétaire,
the
qui était la
proposals for the
principale mission
budgetary
de la DGB au gouvernement, nous
strategy
avons
was a principal
eu également
or a key objective of ours.
la
I think
mission
we
désormais de
saw
gérer le
the
cas de gestion des investissements publics. Donc, du coup, nous
the
avons travaillé à mettre en
framework in which we
place
were
un
managing
décret
public finances. We put in
qui
place a decree
réorganise la
that
gestion des
reorganizes
investissements.
the
Donc,
management
les acteurs
of
sont
the
redéfinis
finances. The
dans leur
actors
rôle.
have been redefined in their roles. But the case with regards to preparation and also monitoring has been reviewed properly. So how did things take place? I think we understood that the passage with regards to DGP of this of all these reviews with the development ministry, with they didn't have any systems in place. We took the systems that were suggested to us, where the services that could help us to put in place our systems have been
Oui, on vous
were there to help us for about 3 months. So for 3 months we had this kind of aid from the now the second thing is we reviewed in 2001 the management of the budget planning, and we put in place a service that takes care of of education, but also the monitoring of investments. So on one hand, the management that was taking care of these activities, we also put in place a system that could help them to monitor. So this system exists also and works together with the budgetization system, and so it's an all integrated system. So that is how we succeeded to put in place a new, or that is how we put in place, that is the reason for which we put in place a new decree that could reorganize all of the different actors in their roles and increase efficiency by making sure that all of the information is connected, all of the information is available, and that there could be some kind of coherence between the budget and the strategic orientations. And since then, it worked quite well since the government put in place this reform. So that is all I can say, really. Sincerely, it's a very good reform, and I think other countries, can use to experiment. It reduced the tensions between the different our different colleagues and the different departments that were managing the different investments, and it helps us to have one idea with regards to the framework, one base of data and information that define the different actions, the different that are currently being taken or that are completed, and that helps to define the direction that all the departments can take in order to move forward coherently. So yeah. Now, with regards to the second subject, other than the harmonized framework, are there other models that influence the management in Benin? Firstly, we work, like I said, with experts that come from around the world. So we have succeeded to have different exchange frameworks, or the DGB can call on actors, sectoral actors, or those responsible for
ce qui du coup fait émerger de nouveaux, comment dire, fait émerger
so this helps us to
nouvelles modalités,
put in place new modalities, new propositions that the DGB now can take charge of and roll out to improve the financial governance. That's one element on which we work seriously.
au-delà, bien
with
sûr, de
experts
tout ce que nous
and
apprenons
and
auprès des partenaires qui viennent nous appuyer, comme le FMI. Donc,
their
nous
understandings
espérons
and
forcément
experiences. So I
qu'avec
think
le
that
FMI, sur, par
we
exemple, la
have
prévisibilité de la masse
really
salariale,
benefit from the
personnellement, je travaille depuis 2010 avec
FME
le FMI sur
framework.
un
So
modèle de prévisibilité de la masse salariale, sur comment on peut anticiper sur
on
les
how we
arriérés
can
salariaux,
anticipate,
comment
for
on peut
example, the
anticiper sur
arrears, the
la
salary
programmation des glissements
arrears,
catégoriels,
the
qu'ils
uh,
soient automatiques ou promotionnels,
that it be
comment on
automatic, that
peut
it be
anticiper
manual,
sur
that
les
it be how can
hypothèses
we
de
anticipate the different
planification des recrutements,
hypotheses
etc., etc.
for
Donc, nous
recruiting
espérons forcément
uh,
du modèle du FMI. Pareil du côté de la
frameworks,
Banque mondiale,
and
surtout sur le volet
on the same
changement climatique,
side
mais
also
également des
uh,
modèles sur
from the
l'entretien et la
World
maintenance
Bank,
des
the models
infrastructures,
that
puisque
we
c'est
have
également un
also looked at
volet
from
très important
that
pour les finances publiques.
touch
Donc,
on
nous
the
espérons
maintenance of
forcément
infrastructure.
des
So
nouvelles
we
de
inspire
ces
ourselves
institutions. En dehors de ces
really
institutions, j'ai cité
quite a
d'autres.
lot
Il y a
on the
Africa Direct
different models
qui
from
travaille
these
sur beaucoup de
international
sujets que nous
organizations.
proposons.
We
Par
have
exemple,
we
comment,
also do a lot of research in order to
disons,
foresee what the interventions might
modéliser les rapports de crédit.
imply.
Vous voyez, donc,
For
à
example,
partir du
credit
travail que nous avons
reports
fait
with
avec Africa,
based on
ça
the
nous a
work that we
permis
have
d'avoir
done
de
with our
nouvelles
research,
modalités
allowed us
pour
to
gérer les reports.
put in place
Déjà que les
new
reports,
modalities
dans notre démarche,
that would help with the
n'est plus
management
systématique parce que M.
of these
Bakary
things,
l'a
and it's no
rappelé tout à
longer
l'heure, le
systematic. I think
PMO
Mr.
global va mettre
Bakary said
à
earlier.
arriver le plan
Um,
d'engagement avec
there
la
there
trésorerie.
is an
Et
issue
demain,
with regards to
comme
aligning
la loi de
the
finances, le projet de
engagement
loi de
plans with
finances
the
est
cash or the
examiné et
treasury.
adopté en Conseil des
And
ministres en octobre, voire début, en fin septembre, voire début octobre, nous
so
tenons une dernière revue
we
avec les
hold
ordonnateurs
our last
délégués, y compris les
reviews
acteurs en
with
charge
or report
de
with
la
the delegates
gestion
in
des marchés
charge
publics.
with
Donc, du
the
coup,
public
en septembre, nous avons une idée plus ou moins
market
précise des crédits de
management
paiement
managers.
qui n'auraient pas
We
la
have
chance d'être consommés
been able to then
avant la
create
clôture de
credit
l'exercice en
payments that
cours,
would have never
ce qui nous
seen the light of
permet
day before
de
this reform. So,
reprogrammer
which allows us
dans
to
le dernier
reprogram
calibrage des enveloppes budgétaires avec le
the
ministère, de reprogrammer ces CP qui ne seraient pas consommés
these
en année N plus 1. Ce
different
qui
interventions
nous
that would have
évite
never been
forcément
conceived of before, which helps
d'avoir,
us,
une fois que la
and
gestion
that
nouvelle est
once the
revêtue, d'avoir
management
des délais
is
exécutoires.
aware,
Mais ce
that
que je n'ai
allows us
pas
to
dit, c'est
then
que
ask
le
for
Bénin vient de
uh,
faire 10 ans d'expérience
a
de
report with
la loi
regards to
organique.
credit.
Nous sommes déjà engagés
And
dans un
we
processus de
already are
réélection
engaged with
où
a
aujourd'hui,
re-election
toutes les
process
améliorations
where
sont déjà sur
all
la
the
table du ministre des Finances. Donc, nous pensons que dans les jours à venir, nous aurons des échanges avec les
with
universités et
all the
d'autres
improvements
experts
that we've
pour
put in
leur
place so far, I
proposer
think we will be
les
able to
nouvelles réformes, les
then
nouvelles
base ourselves on
évolutions, les
that
nouvelles
and to
améliorations que
evolve
nous pensons et,
our
et mettre
future
désormais
reforms
dans la
and to
loi
adapt them
organique.
to the
Donc, une
local
fois que cette
context.
étape
Now,
sera
once
passée,
this
le
step
texte
has
ira
been
au niveau du Conseil des ministres,
passed,
puis après au Parlement
then
pour être
it can
voté.
go through
Donc
the
voilà ce que
ministries
nous
and the
faisons pour le
parliaments
FMP Bruxelles. Nous faisons
to
beaucoup de
vote on,
choses
for example, on
qui,
whatever
nous
reform we might
espérons,
want
j'ai
to
parlé un peu de la
put in
transparence
place. So
budgétaire. Nous avons
I
eu
spoke about the
beaucoup de
budget
soutien du
transparency. We have a
programme
lot of
Initiative
support
for
from global
Transparency
initiatives
de OGP
for
actuellement,
transparency
avec qui
uh,
nous sommes, du
and the
FMI
different
aussi,
partners, for
avec sa
example,
méthodologie propre,
the FME
parmi d'autres la
with different
méthodologie
methodologies,
FT, la Banque
um,
mondiale
the
aussi,
FT
les
methodology,
agences
the World
européennes.
Bank,
Donc,
the
nous sommes
also the
ouverts
European
à
agencies. So
toutes
we
les
are very
institutions.
open to all the
Notre logique,
institutions
c'est
and their
d'apprendre,
suggestions.
de prendre ce
And
qui est
our idea is
important,
to
mais en même
understand
temps,
and
de
to
travailler
learn what
également
is
pour regarder de
important and what
près,
can help
pour
us
examiner de près
to
les
really
difficultés auxquelles l'administration
shed
financière est
light
confrontée et
and have
ensemble
a
avec
system
le
that
ministère
is
sectoriel,
clear,
nous arrivons
concise,
à
and
faire émerger quand
well
même
aligned,
des solutions et qui impactent
so that we can come
positivement
up with
la
solutions that
gouvernance
have
budgétaire et financière de notre pays.
a positive
Voilà ce
impact
que je
on
peux dire pour
public finance
répondre à
management.
ces deux questions.
Uh,
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur
and
Chahou.
that's what I can say
On
to
va
respond
hélas
to the
dépasser
question.
l'heure et on va
So
devoir
unfortunately, we have
fermer
gone beyond time, so we will
le
have
webinaire, mais
to put an end or close this webinar. But I thank you for for your answers and for your perspectives. I think it's important to take into account proof, data, and vetted information in order to base ourselves on, to have good results and how to really. I'm also going to highlight the what you mentioned with the fact that most of these reforms were put in place to reduce the tensions between as you mentioned, or as you said, your colleagues, and I think that's a huge aspect in many countries, is that there's a lot of tension. We can be, we can always be friends outside of work, but it also helps to reduce the tensions that exist between the different departments. So thank you so much for all your contributions. I would like to thank also thank Monsieur Koné, Monsieur Chaou, and Mr. Wendling, and you can always be in contact with us and look at the ODI website to see when the next webinars will happen. So thank you so much for your attendance.
Merci.
Thank you.
Au revoir.
Merci à tous.
Thank you so much,
Merci.
everyone. Goodbye.